Hello everyone and welcome to the Season 4 pre-season test for Neo Racing League for Division Alpha, where we'll get to know the teams and the drivers while also seeing some excellent racing ahead of next week's opening round of our 14 race calendar. But here tonight we are at the Circuit Autodromo Jose Carlos Pacha in Brazil, better known as Interlagos. The circuit is a 2.6 mile, 4.3 kilometre venue that has 15 corners, 10 to the left, 5 to the right, with 2 DRS zones completing the circuit. Opening in 1940, the circuit has hosted 41 Formula 1 Grand Prix, with Alain Prost winning the most races here with 6. In previous seasons in Neo Racing League, we have had races in the inaugural season in Season 1 and Season 3. Stelter winning the inaugural in Season 1, and last season we had Westwood, who was the third place man in the standings come the end of the year. Tonight is a 25-lap race and an 18-minute qualifying session, which will give us a preview into a couple of the drivers who are just looking to make sure everything is running smoothly for next week. I'm your host and hopefully all season long commentator Jamie Jackson, joined by a man who some say he's made of carbon fibre, and that when he breathes through his ears. All we know, he's called APF Stig. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, how are we doing? And what a wonderful pre-season test to be here at the Interlagos circuit here in Brazil. Yeah, we've got 8 cars out on track today for pre-season testing, and well, let's hope it's a nice clean session with some really clean racing. Obviously we're here in Q1 ready to go. We've got a time on the board already. It's probably not very representative because this is the first time on the board. They never are. But yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a couple of these drivers just kind of get used to the game, get used to racing each other. A couple of these drivers have been here for a couple of seasons now, and a few of them are newcomers. So we'll see a couple of these drivers doing today. Marchmeister, the owner, we'll see what he can do against some of the up-and-comers in league racing, some of these. We've got a mix of PC drivers, Xbox and PlayStation here today, so it'll be good to see whether that has any effect in terms of racing, because we know there's slight differences between each console and platform's game, but we'll see how we go. We'll go into the driver lineups later on in the race, but with a couple drivers crossing the line, we've got a 1 minute 8.293 by the sailboat of Gary Gator, followed up by a 1 minute 8.380 by Rupsi Cola in the Williams. So we've got very close times in the between the top two earlier on, while everyone just kind of gets the feel for the circuit. So Stig, what do you think is going to be? What are you looking for in this session? Are you looking for people who are just kind of slowly building up, or just going straight in there and getting a very, very good start?
Q1 with the 8 people is.
I think it's just short quality. It's just short quality anyway.
It's just short quality.
Yeah,
okay,
it just says Q1 for whatever reason.
Okay, cool. Sorry for my naiveties of the setup, but anyway. So how would we? So in terms of the car setup, you got a bit of a mix to go for here, because you've got a very twisty sector 2 here, and you've got the fast corners, the start of sector 2 that you need to be set up for. But then you've got big straights in sector 1 and sector 3. So you don't want to be putting too much aero on the car. In a short qualifying session, you need to have a decent time on the board from the get-go. So I imagine pole time is going to be in the 107s, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, we can see that there's a RB on track at the moment with Bumvia going apparently quickest in sector 2. So we'll see what this time ends up being. Is coming up into sector 3 now, up along the final straight, and that is a 109.1. So maybe it wasn't fastest, but the track map can lie quite often. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite. It'll be interesting to see like how sort of setup people go for, like you were saying earlier, whether it's like they go for the pure straight on speed or a higher downforce to give them the grip in the corners, or if you go somewhere in the middle, you're probably okay, but you've got to be very very careful if you start going on either of the extremes. But with eight drivers in here, and it only being a pre-season race, we'll be able to see what sort of level these guys and what sort of works in this league, because we'll probably see a bit more difference when we do in the other leagues, such as other leagues. We'll see a bit more difference and a bit more creativity from car to car, from driver to driver. But yeah, we've got a couple drivers coming out on track once more. Our owner, the owner and founder of the league, Marchmeister, is currently on a lap. Stig, would you like to take us through the rest of the lap for me, please?
So March coming up down the Retro now, coming up to Desi. I can't do it quick enough with the names. I can't do it. I've been doing it for long enough. We're coming up to turn 6 now. This is normally a very light lift to just balance shift that weight into the front wheels. As quite a clean line there. Bit of a lock up into turn 7. Turn 8. It's not going well. As good as pre-season, put it that way. And when I say it's not going well, I mean my commentary. Normally flat out around 10. See, I can't even remember what the turn numbers they are.
I think that's turn 12. I think that's turn 12.
Yeah, I know. It's not going well tonight.
It's been a while.
Coming up around the this is the issue. March is actually coming into the pits, not even going to set the lap. You see, they obviously felt bad enough about their lap as what I did about my commentary. But yeah, I'm sorry for that absolutely shocking effort there. Gary Gator is coming up to start a new lap, I believe, so could be seeing an improvement of the pole time.
Yeah, so the Sauber driver just coming around turn 3 now, getting the DRS open. We'll go on board with him now as we go throughout the rest of the lap into turn 4. We go just over a tenth up in sector 1. Gets a decent turn 4 as we continue around sector 2 up towards 1. He's got a fair amount of battery left. He's clearly kept it for that final straight. 1 minute 8.2, just goes a little bit faster, does the Williams, than the previous pole sitter in Gary. But Gary is on an absolute golden lap right now. He's currently up by a tenth over the Williams as we head through sector 2. Can the Sauber make the inroads needed to snatch away the provisional pole time with just 8 minutes left to go? He's nearly 4 tenths up as we go through sector 2 now. Fastest sector 1 and 2 according to the track map. As we head round the final corner and up to the line, where will he come? Just a flat line straight until we get there. And I can't speak either today. It'll be a 1 minute 7.8. The first 1 minute 7 we've had this session. It's a very long run. There's not really much you can say apart from they're going to go round this bend a little bit quicker. It's a flat out bit.
107.8. Not a bad time there. We've just had another time it going. I think that was by David, who's just done a 108.5. So quite a bit off of Gary, but nearly there.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see a bit more field spread, especially in this early phase of the season, because this isn't like you've got everyone with like multiple tiers. You've got everyone's within like a couple tenths. These drivers have got a bit more of a skill level between them, so it'll be interesting to see basically overriding stories, because this is a longer in terms of the sim racing world, this is a longer sort of season compared to most leagues. So 14 races, as much as it sounds like about almost half of what we have in real life F1, there's still a lot of stories to play that we at play here. The simulating husky in the McLaren, that's a name that I'm gonna have to get used to, is coming round the final part of the lap through sector 2. He's nearly half a second up on his previous best, which won't be enough to get him into pole at the moment. However, we'll get him past David in the Alpine up to the line now. What time does the McLaren do? He hasn't really left himself that much ERS towards the line though, so he must have used a little bit more. That sets him with 1 minute 8.7, and he loses a couple tenths in that final sector, potentially using too much ERS with just over 6 minutes to go. But with two drivers in Pumped Mantis and Marchmeister yet to set a lap, plus Hamflap Kelly, who hasn't set a. This is going to be.
I'm sorry. No, hey, hang on. Some of these gamers, mate. Come on, guys.
You got to think, Luke. This is a international league. There's a lot of international games here, so give him a chance. But yeah, so Kelly is. Okay, so. You screwed me now. I've forgotten my. So Kelly hasn't set a proper time lap. Yeah, Kelly's at start a lap now. Would you like to? Thanks for interrupting. Do you want to set a lap? Do you want to commentate every lap for me now?
Over the cell now for Humflap Kelly coming around turn 4. DRS wide open coming down to the Retroposter into turn 4. Very quick section here. Apparently it's 4/10 down in his current time. Up around turn 5, absolutely flat out here. Good, using a good amount of the curb. As I said before, turn 6 is about a always a big slide at the middle of turn 7 there. All out of position for turn 8, but getting a nice wide run around turn 9 and onto the throttle. But it isn't looking like a great lap for Hamflap Kelly. They're looking a little bit uncomfortable with the car. I think they might have even backed out. This isn't looking overly fast, to be honest. Maybe they haven't. It was a interesting line around turn 11. Or turn 12, whichever one it is. We're coming up onto the past pits now for the final straight. DRS wide open again. It's going to be a 108. Well, sorry, 109.1. Yeah, that was not a comfortable lap there for Hamflap Kelly. They are definitely going to be wanting to go again to try and improve their position on the grid.
Well, unfortunately, it weren't the best of laps. He is sitting at the bottom of the timesheets in terms of drivers who have set a lap. However, with just over 4 minutes to go, he has enough time to get another lap or two in if he feels like his tyres can handle it. However, he does probably have another set of tyres available to him. We have a couple we only have him and David in the Alpine currently out on an Apple. Don't know if David is currently 200 down on his personal best. So he's going around for sector 2. Can he make the improvements needed to get anywhere close to the Sauber of Gary? As we go down the main straight now, up towards the line, he doesn't improve though. He's 600ths down, and unfortunately for him, all that pushing was just for nothing because he just has now to back off and recharge his battery again because he's got nothing left. But
he's burnt up those tyres as well.
Yeah, 3 minutes to go. He's got to really get around at a fast enough pace now to get a new set of tyres if he has them available, or just recharge.
I don't even think he'll have time to do that, to be honest. This is where he needs to just recharge his battery and just go straight again. But it's looking like quite a hard in-lap, if it's an in-lap. And yeah, I think David's not going to be overly happy with that time, to be honest.
Someone is
Gary's retired from.
Yeah, I was going to say, someone who is happy, Gary. He's in provisional pole sitter, decided now.
4/10 ahead. I wouldn't blame him being 4/10 ahead.
Well, even though he is a fair chunk ahead, Rupsi had matched him in their first set of times, so the Williams could potentially come at him later on, but at the moment, unless Pump Mantis and Marchmeister come back and have an absolute blinder of a lap themselves, it'll be interesting to see what they can do it, hit a home run, or whether they're just going to be in the middle of the field. David is starting his now flying lap again once more. Probably his final run, unless he mucks this up early enough to get a recharge. Yes, DRS now down towards turn 4. He's now 10th up. That's much better from the Alpine compared to his previous run. Around turn 4 now, and down towards through turn 5 and down towards turn 6. This long right hander, you really need to now perfectly, otherwise you could just get a massive amount of oversteer, a bit like that by David. He's very much lucky to get away with that. However, that will cost him time through turn 7 and into turn 7 and then turn 8. He's now got to get his head down throughout the rest of this lap. Just try and nail as much of this sector 2 and 3 as possible, because this corner is crucial. This is make or break for the rest of the final sector up towards there now. He's going to go on the power using the ERS, but doesn't use it all. He's kind of sitting on it a little bit and doesn't quite use it all, and unfortunately is kind of a bit on and off there and goes a little bit faster, but David does not improve enough to get to P2.
Might be interesting to watch a lap of March now, because this is going to be a first-time lap on the board. The owner of the league is going all out of position in through the center S's, a bit wiggly around the Curva de Sol, but going to have to keep the foot in because this is their only chance to get a lap in. Coming up into turn 4 now, looks like an okay line. Using up as much of the track as they legally can. That's a much better line through. Oh no, it is not a much better line. All of these drivers having an issue around turn 7, and that puts him out of position for turn 8. There's a big lock up there. A bit wiggly through turn 9. And where's the rest of this sector 2 going? Yeah, turn 10 looking pretty decent there. Turn 11, turn 12, like Lisa said, this is going to set him up completely for the final sector. Not using as much of the track as what they possibly could do there, but using up all the ERS now, opening that DRS, coming down to the final line. That's not gone well. Words didn't happen then. But as a 108.5, it's a mediocre time. Mediocre.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's pre-season. You're gonna find these big gaps in this stage. You've got drivers just trying out new things. We're gonna see a bit of a pecking order in between these drivers, but it'll be interesting to see who can really match Gary, because unless Rupsi, who is in the Williams, who is currently on a lap, who looks to be a quarter of a second down heading out sector 2 up to the line, he doesn't make any improvements. He sits in P3, sorry, and that is quite a large gap to Sauber ahead.
The points don't come on qualifying day though.
No,
the points come in the race. So Gary might have a really good qualifying setup, but not a very good race setup. So yeah, it does depend on how you set up the car here.
Yeah, it certainly does. So at the end of the day, the Irishman taking pole position in our pre-season race at Brazil, but can Pumped Mantis, Rupsi Cola get closer to him potentially in the race? We've got a 25 lap race around here. It's a 35% race distance for these pre-season races. I believe we go to 50% for the rest of the season. But we're just testing to make sure everything is running okay. But it's quickly. Oh, and it is raining, so the ultimate equaliser, as they say in real life, we've got rain for our race today, and that's quite a deterrent for certain drivers, because you could have really had a harsh dry setup, but in the wet it could be completely and utterly useless.
So around Brazil, a really good qualifying setup. It's actually a setup, I believe, with more downforce. So it's potential that there was more downforce in Gary's car there. In the rain, you want more downforce. However, in the dry Brazil, you want less downforce. It depends completely how these drivers have set up their cars. If they've gone for more downforce, that could be really beneficial right now.
Yeah, certainly. It could really, like the people with lower downforce will really struggle in that sector 2 section specifically as well, because they're not going to have nearly the amount of grip that certainly as much as they did in qualifying, at least, because they can at least counteract it a little bit with the heightened amount of grip that you have on the dry compounds. But in the wet, all rubber and all track rubbering in is just gone, and you've all of a sudden you're going to really struggle with that amount of downforce you have, and the straight line speed is going to be pretty much meaningless.
Absolutely, and that braking zone into turn 1 is going to be even harder, because it's slightly downhill, off camber, and in the rain that just gets even more messy.
Yeah, it definitely can. I'm just going to have a quick look, see if they've said anything about when we are going to get going. Already up at 54, so we have got so we should be going anytime now. Oh, yeah, here we go. We're going to get going now. We are on a formation lap, so with Gary Gator on pole in the Sauber, Pump Mantis in P2, Rupsi in P3. Are they on the inters or on the wets? They are on the inters. Gary Gate has decided the grass is a better way of warming up his tyres than sticking it on the asphalt, and that is a very, very unfortunate for a man who will be starting on pole position, and the drivers around him will be seeing that as well, because they all think he will not have nearly the amount of confidence going into turn one, because even though it's only the formation lap, that is a dent in the confidence for a driver, especially sitting on pole position.
Yeah, it definitely is a dent in the position, dent in the confidence. But at the same time, Gary now knows he does not want to be there, so he will be going for the inside. He won't be going for that outside line into turn one, unless a driver such as Pamp Mantis might have a really good launch, and then they can get up the inside. But Gary will be going for that inside line, defending like a lion.
So I assume it's going to be I'd assume it's going to be an inters. You're going to have to stop for another set of inters around this circuit. But with 35%, we could be just go to the end. But
we can go to the end.
Can you go to the end on these? Yeah.
You can. I've just had the preferred strategy just come up on my screen, and it was inters to the end or stopping around midpoint.
Okay, so
whatever that is, I don't know how many laps that is.
Okay, so that's good then. So we're basically going to have an elongated sprint race, really. Because the sprint, so it's just gonna, everyone's gonna be trying to push. I wonder if, I don't know, I doubt it's gonna, by the looks of the weather, it's gonna get drier, but it may do. So we're gonna see. But if it gets wetter, those full wet, it's gonna be whoever could get to like full wet conditions later on in the race. But we'll only have to wait to see. We're waiting for the 8 drivers to line up on the grid right now, and we're gonna get underway in a brief few moments with the Aston Martin of Kelly. Lining up now, the final driver to line up as we go to loading screen. We're now to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights for pre-season season 4, and it's lights out and away we go. As the Sauber does not get the best of starts, however manages to cut off the Red Bull. They're going to go into turn 1 a bit side by side as the Williams of Rupsi dives it down the inside of the Red Bull. He tries to make the move stick, but unfortunately the Red Bull gets the momentum, and now he's all over the back of the Sauber of Gary Gator and down towards turn 4. It's a McLaren that was off the road. He comes back on cleanly though, as we're going to go into turn 4 now. It all remains line astern, but there's a bit of a wide moment there from the Red Bull as we go into turn 4 and 5, and the Red Bull gets punted off by the Williams after a bit of contact, and through goes David. And we go into turn 6 as the Alpine has an excellent start. Rupsi very lucky to get away with not dropping any sort of positions there, and Pump Mantis is still very much in the hunt. These two already getting very aggressive in a pre-season race. There's a bit of a lock up of the rears there now for the Williams. Can he make his way through? Can the Red Bull make his way through? Unfortunately not. The Sauber a bit all over the road there in the background, but we're going to continue on now, and that is the end of lap 1. A bit of a chaotic start, but Kelly has actually gained 4 positions out of that.
Very chaotic start there. There was a lot of moving around in the first sector as well. We had the Haas of March, the McLaren of Husky, and Kelly all side by side. There was moments where March had to back out. There was moments where Husky had to avoid the crashing Haas and Aston Martin. Later on in the lap, you had the Williams coming together with the Red Bull. The Williams and the Red Bull had now having another go at it, considering it through turn 4. The Red Bull backing out at that one. But yeah, everything all kicking off a little bit. And like you say, even though it's a pre-season test, these guys are racing drivers and they want to have a go and they want to win.
Yeah, certainly. These drivers, like, they just always want to race. They don't care if they're here to race. They don't care if it's for the first race of the season, pre-season, the last race of the season, for points or not. These guys will race to the bitter end because they want that moral victory on position. And that Williams is a bit all over the place, and now I get the possible race strategies. Yep, 0 stop to the end, as you can see on screen now. As we go down towards the end of lap 2, it's side by side between the Red Bull and the Williams, as the Red Bull goes around the outside of the Williams into down the main straight, and he takes back the podium place. And here comes Kelly in the Aston Martin. He's going to go side by side with the Williams in front. He down the inside of the Williams. He also dives the Red Bull. He almost gets by the Red Bull defence nicely. The Aston Martin goes off track a little bit there though. And now we're going down towards turn 4. Can the Aston Martin find his way by on the Mantis, or will Kelly have to sit by? And he just has to sit by for a little bit longer. But that was an excellent move on the Williams, and almost got a move done on for P3 and he started in P8 position. So it's an excellent job by the Aston Martin.
It started all the way back at turn 11. The Williams was all out of position because they locked up their rears and they had no drive at all. And then that's when they panicked a little bit with their ERS, and the Red Bull got through, and then the Aston Martin was just ready to pounce. But here goes the Williams up the inside. That's an interesting move there. I don't think that's really necessary, and especially when there's a big straight coming up that they could just fly past with ERS. But we'll see how this one plays out on this ERS, because that Aston Martin's going to be hungry to try and get that position back. But that Williams is trying to pull away.
Yeah, that Williams seems to be a bit more seems to struggle a bit more in these wet weather conditions. We're talking about the higher and lower downfall setup, and the setups having more of a dependence on whether. Oh, and that's been a hit by the Aston Martin hitting the back of that Williams, but he's now all over the back of that Williams. Rupsi Cola seems to be struggling quite significantly here as we head down towards turn 4. He doesn't. He has a look, but it doesn't make any sort of dive bomb there. But like you're saying, setup may become a key factor here. The Haas of Marchmeister now all over back of the Aston Martin in front, and this is unable to make any sort of gains through there. As this is the battle for podium places, 6 temps to Pumped Mantis, but. If the battle in behind continues like it has been, they're going to be losing out on a podium places. Both the Williams and the Aston Martin lose the back end quite significantly there. This has allowed the Red Bull to get away a little bit more, and Marchmeister to be right on the back of Kelly. But unfortunately, he just has to sit behind. There isn't any way through, as even though the Aston Martin's all over the road, he wasn't able to find a way through until now. He goes by 4P5 as the Haas has made a decent move, waited for his moment and took advantage, well.
Yeah, the Aston Martins used up all their ERS way too early, and they're just not focusing on recharging at all. They're focusing completely on attack and not on defence, which has left them in an incredibly vulnerable position, and they're going to be at the back of this train if they're not careful. March making a great move there, just waiting, ready to pounce, and he can now make inroads on Kohler and that Williams.
Yeah, he certainly can. Even though I do believe the Aston Martin has very much decent pace, the Williams, though, was not showing very good pace in the first couple of laps. While he has pulled away now, it has helped that Kelly was struggling with his rear end quite significantly, even more than what Williams was in those opening laps. But it seems Williams is now beginning to stick with that Red Bull of Pumped Mantis a little bit more. So whether the Williams has kind of sorted it out via differential and brake bias changes, or whether he's kind of got used to these conditions to some extent, as it is still raining about the same amount, I think even a little bit less than what it was at the start of the race. We could see the Williams slowly come back into this, but he is actually dropping back even more now. He might have used quite a bit of his ERS. Let's have a look. Has he used? He's actually got quite a bit of ERS, so it might be that Marchmeister and Pump Mantis are using quite a bit here. But the Williams is dropping back.
Williams is locking up the rears quite a lot, very often, and actually using the rear of the car to turn, which is an interesting driving technique that I'm seeing. But this is allowing March to come back in using that smoother driving technique. And look, he's already right behind. We're also seeing the rain is stopping. So are we going to see dry weather conditions come up very, very soon? Because there is no rain anymore.
Yeah, I think that's quite a big factor. It's just now, what sort of tyres do you go on? Do you go on the softs? Do you go on the mediums? Do you go on the hards? Because even though we've been racing intermediate conditions, you don't actually know, apart from maybe the softs, how quickly they wear. There's a bit of yellow flag in sector 2. That seems to be Kelly, who has
Yeah,
dropped down
Kelly's
to
had a spin.
he dropped down to P7 now, as just ahead of Simulating Husky. But those drivers are quite far behind now. Meanwhile, we've got David, we've got Pumped Mantis, we've got Roopsy Cola, and we've got Marchmeister, all within about a second and a half of one another. As he gets to the dry conditions, DRS, when that gets enabled, could be quite significant to the drivers behind, as David seems to have lost a little bit of pace. Because here he goes, Pump Mantis, as he goes down the inside into turn 4. Can he make the move stick? He's pushed him wide. There's been a contact there, and that has caused David to lose a chunk of time. Here comes Roopsy Cola. Pump Mantis has lost a position there after gaining one, but Roopsy Cola has gained 2 positions out of that. Here comes Marchmeister down the inside. Does he make that move stick? There's been a bit of contact there as well, once more, but Pump Mantis manages to get a bit of a run down the inside and keep his podium place. But for how much longer? As the he gets drier and drier, these guys are going to start overheating their tyres, and they're going to. And at the moment, it looks like they're sliding everywhere on the rear end.
Yeah, we've already got a car coming into the pits for the medium tyres. I don't think it's going to be long before we see more of them start to come in. We will have a look and see what the sector times are for Kelly. It looks like they might actually be struggling at the moment, maybe struggling to get a little bit of temperature in those tyres. But yeah, there was a lot of argy-bargy there going on in sector 2 between those 4 cars. We've got 2 of them coming in now. We've got Pump Mantis and David coming into the pits. Are they going on to mediums? They are going on to yeah, it looks like mediums. So medium tyres for the cars now. This could be too early, or it could be just the right time.
David,
in fact,
it's on the
David
hards.
has gone onto the hards.
Yeah, that Alpine really taking a different route than everyone else. Maybe hoping that later on in the race, these guys will have a lot of problems with their tyre life, and he's able to come back through the field, and hoping that also his tyres do not lose too much pace over the next 10 or so laps. But we'll have to let this one play out, as Marchmeister has now gone by, as Roopsy Cola is round in sector 2. The Williams may have. I don't think they're close enough for any contacts, but the Williams is quite significant. Has lost out quite significantly there. It's now down to P4. Provisionally, will be P6. 10-second time penalty for Gary Gator for speeding in the pit lane. That has flipped the race on his head, because now he's going to have to make up that gap. Even though he has 9 seconds, it's going to come down with Pump Mantis and David, who pitted the lap before.
The cars that are out there on the dry tyres already are really struggling with their tyre temps. This is going to be incredibly interesting to see how this plays out now, because these cars that waited a little bit longer might be in a much better position with their tyres.
Yeah, that'll be it's going to be difficult. There's a bit of contact there, and there's a bit of damage there for David. There's a bit of contact between Pump Mantis and there's a driver off the track. He's in. He's got damage. He's out of the race. That is Bomb Via. I'm gonna screw that one up a lot, and that's a safety car.
I think that was a crash in the pit lane.
Yeah, because it reset him on track.
Yeah.
Cold tyres have caused that. We're down to 7, and that is very unlucky for the RB.
Very unlucky, but this is going to be painful for Gary Gator. He's out there. He had an 11-second lead, and the safety car has been called, and he's got a 10-second time penalty.
Yeah, that is absolutely brutal for Gary Gator. One mistake, the only mistake he has made this race is that 10-second time penalty, and it's all flipped on his head. His race has completely changed.
This is going to be a very interesting restart, because I think every driver is struggling with tyre temperatures.
He's ice cold around this circuit, despite it being dry. It is like Turkey 2020.
Yeah.
Except it's just drier. But
Gary has come back into the pits. Is he going to put the inters back on? Let's have a look and see what he decides to do.
He might just want to get rid of that 10-second.
Yeah, quite possibly. He's going for mediums, but yeah, like you say, he might just be getting rid of that 10-second, which could be an incredibly clever strategy, because he should be ahead of that Aston and that McLaren, maybe.
Maybe. But at the same time,
It would definitely be ahead of the Alpine.
even if he isn't, he's certainly just ridiculously quick. Gary was absolutely out of nowhere. I maybe should have checked this before the race, but I don't know if
Big
Gary's
slide on the exit.
Yeah, I don't know if Gary has raced here before. But there's a bit of contact with that wall next as well. He's lucky if he has got away with damage as well. So
he looks okay.
yeah.
That Alpine getting very snaky in the pit lane as well. These tyres are not getting temperature very quickly at all. So new race leader Marchmeister in the Haas behind that safety car.
He's quite. It'll be interesting to see because let's have a quick look. That's not the right button. There it is. We've got all but simulating Husky on the medium compound tyres, but it's not what tyres they're on, it's how long ago did they put them on. We've got 3 lap old mediums for Kelly, 2 lap old mediums for Pump Mantis, and then Marchmeister and Ropsy Cola on 1 lap old mediums. So that's going to be quite interesting to see whether how much tyre life did they take out in that opening stages where they were oversteering, where they were having lockups, where the tyres were absolutely suboptimal. So it'll be so will that have a major effect on this race, or will they manage to just about get to the end now there's been a safety car?
Seeing big weaving on that start-finish straight because the drivers are just trying to get any heat in the tyres that they can. The race story of March is quite interesting because he's 4 positions up on where he started. The only other driver to have gained on their starting position is Kelly, who has also made 4 positions. Everyone else has either stayed in their position or lost positions.
Yeah, so it's quite... And also David with that 3 second as well is quite a significant problem. It's that's going to really affect him because he's down in 7th, and with just over half the race to go, he would need to get by and then create the gap. So being in the 7th, being at the back and having that penalty, potentially being held up, will be very, very costly for the Alpine.
It definitely will be. Especially with such a small field as well, it can be quite difficult for gaps to open up.
Yep, so here we go. Safety car is in this lap. As we're about to get going once more, we will be going on to lap 12, so halfway point of the race as we go to the green flag. When does Marchmeister go? He's about... you do
As
not want
late
to
as possible.
Yeah, you do not want to be going early at this circuit, but he's weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving, trying to get some tyre temperature in there, and he goes at the least expected moment. They're going to go 4 wide, and behind him there, as we go down towards turn 1, 10-second time penalty for the Aston Martin for ignoring yellow flags. I think that was because he took before the safety car line. Everyone playing trying to play mind games there. Marchmeister had the perfect start while everyone went into that turn 1 side by side. Kelly came out on top, but with a 10-second time penalty to boot. We're going to have Gary Gator now, who has got by the Williams of Rupsi Cola and Pumped Mantis. He is in P3. Williams, Rupsi Cola in P4. Pumped Mantis P5. David P6 after getting past Simulating Husky for the position, and he sits behind in that McLaren to round out everyone. But Marchmeister had a beautiful start there, just took everyone a bit more by surprise. We knew he was going to go late, but he was on the inside. He took the less optimal starting position, so he weren't in line the racing line, but he ensured that no one caught on that. He jumped the lights there. We're going to go down towards turn 1 now. It's going to be side by side between the Aston Martin, between the Sauber, Kelly, Gary Gator, side by side as we go through turn 1, 2 and 3. There's a bit of a squeeze off there by the Sauber on the Aston Martin as Kelly goes off the road, and that has really cost the Aston Martin, who does have that 10-second time penalty and is now right down the back of the field.
there's someone else that missed out there because the Sauber lost a position to the Williams. So all of that work that he tried to do to get past the Aston, which should have been an easy job, he's now got to get past that Williams, which he's going to try up into turn 7. He's not going to make it work because he was a little bit late on the brakes, but he'll be hungry to make that work and get on the back of March as soon as possible. In fact, that is a safe. No, it's not. I've been told it's a safety car. It's not a safety car. It's green flag running.
Yeah, I don't know why it's still showing safety car. Nice graphics, everyone. But we got
That's someone off the road.
Yeah, that's someone off the road. I believe that was Husky. I'm not
David?
sure. It could have been it.
Husky?
It could have been.
No.
It was someone back there. But with actually, this is really, really working in March's favour right now. He hasn't got. While they still have DRS, down the inside goes Gary. Quite a massive dive bomb there. He gets by very, very well. And Kelly has retired in the pit lane with so 6 drivers remaining now. Can Gary get by for... can Gary pull a little bit of a gap away from the Haas in P1? Or will he... or will he be able to... Will he just struggle? Because March seems to have a very, very good pace right now, despite this.
Well, it's a very commanding overtake from the Sauber. We've not seen the Sauber in this second stint in clean air. We know that Gary was able to get a good lead early on, but we haven't seen him race March. And I would probably say March is looking like, from that qualifying session, it looked like March was probably the second best driver, even though they qualified about P45. It looks like that they were probably the second most confident in the car, just possibly didn't put the lap together. So it's going to be interesting to see these two race together. Sauber is back into DRS now. I was going to say they're out of DRS, but actually back into it. There's a new fastest lap for Gary now. So I think these two might possibly just start swapping laps. There's another retirement there, so we're down to 5 cars. Excellent running. Yeah, let's see how this goes. I think Gary's going to be on the back of March within the next lap or so.
Yeah, absolutely. He's even though he's saying about he's not really. It might be his biggest weakness here. Even though he had absolute godlike pace in the in clean air, in dirty air, he clearly does not have anything of significance against him, and he's really struggling to make any sort of inroads on the Haas, and isn't really pulling away from the Williams and the Red Bull behind, which he had done so well the previous time before in the first stint for. So we'll have to see.
One thing to consider is well, apparently he's just on a fastest sector 2 and he is 8 tenths behind again. I reckon he might just be recharging that battery because he had to use a hell of a lot to get past originally the Aston Martin and then the Williams. He's now looking to be pulling away a little bit. He's got another fastest lap now. He's taken a second out of that previous lap. He is on the heels of March now. Half a second. It's not going to be long.
Yeah, he's absolutely flew through that first chicane as well, first sector as well, and he's now right on the back of the Sauber. He's looking left, he's looking right, he's dummied him to go to the inside, but March has defended that well, as the Sauber has to concede and wait that little bit longer as we go down towards turn 6 now. 4 drivers are in this fight, so for P1, but the Williams and the Red Bull are a little bit further behind in terms of pace, but the Williams is going to make a nuisance of himself for Gary Gator. There's a bit of a lock-up there from the Haas of Marchmeister. As we head through the end of Sector 2 towards Sector 3, can Gary get by March this time round?
He's a little bit closer. He's a tenth closer. March is clearly using a lot of that ERS, but is he going to have enough towards the end of the straight? Here comes Gary now. 4 tenths, 3 tenths. He's a bit too far behind this time around, but is he going to be close enough in turn 4? We saw him do his dummy into turn 4 before. Is he going to be close enough to do another one and possibly even try around the inside, the outside? Where's he going to go? Up the inside now. He's got the car up alongside. Is there going to be enough space? Is just enough space for them both to get through, but there's not enough space for a Sauber to get past that Haas.
Yeah, the Sauber just unable to do anything about that Haas, who has placed his car perfectly on 2 occasions now. He's got to continue doing that for another 8 laps or so, but he's done a good job so far, as the founder of the league is just trying. He gets a bit of a snap of oversteer though, but will he have enough ERS to defend once more? Gary is a little bit closer this time. As we've said, every lap he's getting closer, but this time it could be game, set and match for the Sauber. However, he's not quite close enough to get it done down the main straight, potentially looking to do it down towards turn 4 as he has the previous 2 occasions.
I think the one to watch might be the Williams this time round, because they've got a hell of a lot more ERS.
Yeah, certainly. As the Williams is right on the back there. The Sauber's gone for the move down the inside. He isn't able to do anything, as here comes the Williams as well, trying to make a move. But the Sauber and the Haas go side by side through turn 4. It's still side by side. 3-second time penalty for Marchmeister as he goes off track on the exit of turn 5. But rounding turn 6, they're still side by side as we head into turn 7. And Gary gets into the lead, but how much ERS did both them drivers use on that lap? Because now they've got to try and recharge it as quickly as possible. There has been a bit of contact there. And now the Red Bull and the Williams going to go side by side round sector 2 towards sector 3 into that final corner. Can we see a move made by the Red Bull? Yes, he does. Clumsy. It was clumsy, but the Red Bull made that move.
No, the Red Bull wasn't the clumsy one there.
No.
The Williams was incredibly clumsy, doing a position, going for a move that just didn't need to have a move taken. But that's given the Red Bull an amazing opportunity of trying to improve that podium position they've only just gained. It's around the inside of Curva de Sol now, up towards turn 4. Have they got DRS? Yes, they do. He's going to have the inside line to turn 4. Is he going to be able to always chickened out a little bit on the brakes there? Could have been a little bit braver and just solidified that position and potentially have gone for the win, but he's got another lap coming up to have a go.
Yeah, so Pump Mantis doing just has sat tight for a lot of these times. Marchmeister has benefited as well, is still benefiting from the DRS and the slipstream from Gary, who seems to have that lead on a little bit more of a lock now that the penalties are starting to roll in for Pump Mantis and Marchmeister, and the person without a penalty has dropped back a slight bit there, 7 tenths behind, heading into down the main straight. But here comes Pump Mantis. Can he make any sort of move on the Sauber? But on the Haas, sorry, but the Sauber is going to have to defend instead, as Marchmeister around the outside makes the move stick. But is it too early? 3-second time penalty there for Rusicola. So even though we've got 4 drivers with penalties now out of 5, Gary has now retaken the lead and doing it on track. Marchmeister made the move maybe a little bit too early, but was pressured into basically doing that by the Red Bull behind, and now he has to again sit behind the Sauber for P2 for another sector and a bit, where he's just gonna heat up those tyres a bit more and have to use those tyres as a bit of downforce loss behind the Sauber.
These drivers are all hungry now, absolutely hungry. That move from Marchmeister was absolutely perfected, but the part after was just not well thought through. But here we go again. We've got March behind the Sauber. It's going to be right behind with DRS, even closer this time. Is the move going to be done even quicker? Yes, it is. It's going to be done before the line, but he's now going to have to consider his line through the ZRS to see what he can do to offset that Sauber and defend that position up into turn 4.
Yeah, this is the exact same mistake he had made in the first lap previous, because the Sauber, even though he will probably have used quite a bit of ERS down that main straight, will be able to get by once more. But here comes Marchmeister. He goes around the outside. He's managed to hold it this time as he goes around turn 5. Can he make the move stick? Unfortunately, he cannot. Here comes Pump Mantis as he goes around the outside. Can he make the move stick? He gets there's a bit of extra movement on the around the corner by Marchmaster. Mantis goes wide to avoid, but in the process drops position to Rupsicola, who moves his way back up to P3 with just a handful of laps to go. Pump Mantis has dropped behind, and his chances of victory are slimming.
Like you say, they are absolutely slimming, but there's still a driver here that is in the best position they can be, and that's Gary, because he's got no penalties. He's dropped back a little bit there. He's dropped back before the DRS slide even. But is that going to matter? Is he going to be under threat from that Williams? No, he's not, because he's going to go defensive. But is he going to hold off that outside line? He has. Can there be a switchback done through the ZRSs? No, there cannot. But now everyone in P2 back is going to have DRS. That is going to help the Sauber defend that position on that Williams. Is he going to have enough to get up alongside that Haas? Not this time, no. So March has learned from his previous run-ins that what he needs to do. Can he hold that now for the next couple of laps? It's going to be really difficult with that huge DRS zone and take to 3.
Yeah, it certainly will be, and the Haas is just not really. Even though he's got a couple laps left, those penalties are really, really going to hamper them, because Gary Gator, with no penalties so far, is by far the favourite still to win this race, unless there's something that happens between him and Rupsicola in terms of battling. That means that Marchmaster can pull away quite significantly. However, he's got just over half a second gap for the Haas down towards turn. Down by straight towards turn 1. The Williams is very much close to the Sauber as we go into turn 1, but he isn't able to do anything. And never mind, he sends himself down the inside. There's a bit of contact there, mid corner, but they both continue on as they do. But this is the opening that the Haas needs, as all 3 drivers are now going to go side by side. As Sauber goes really harsh defending there, the Williams ducks back to the outside, tries to make any sort of move he can on Gary, but unfortunately isn't able to do anything there. They're slowly slipping further and further away from the Haas ahead, but they cannot find a way by the Williams, as Gary keeps and maintains P2.
Yeah, March must be looking in their mirrors thinking that this is a great sign that they're all fighting, but they're going to come back at him in sector 2. Only 5 tenths between them now, but that was absolutely what the Haas wanted, to get a nice breather into turn 4 to then recharge the DRS.
Yeah, he absolutely needed it, because it means that he could just defend for another lap. Because even though these guys got penalties, they do want to still win on track no matter what. With your Gary, you not want to take it easy, because you just want to say you've beat all of them fair and square, whether they've got penalties or not. They're going to be a bit of a side-by-side action behind there, attempted by the Red Bull. He couldn't make anything stick on the Williams, but as we head on to the penultimate lap, can Pump Demantis get by the Rupsicola in quicker, so he can get towards the Sauber and the Haas. Meanwhile, the Sauber looks to the inside of Marchmeister. The Haas defends well. He doesn't have to do too much there other than take his normal line. Wasn't really affected, but Gary is back all over him with basically the 2 main DRS zones to go, 2 whole DRS zones to go. And if Gary gets by, March has really got a limited number of options left.
Yeah, March has got to think of the game now, because if he gets overtaken by the Sauber, he doesn't want to lose any more positions than what he will lose to that Sauber. But here we go. Final lap is coming up now. This is the second to last time we'll go through this DRS zone. We've got Husky at the back doing a load of penalties, but they're enjoying life, so we'll leave them to it.
He's got to the end.
He's got to the end. The Sauber now looking up the inside, doesn't go for it, but there's contact there through the ZRS, and there goes the Williams going through. That's not going to make the Gary happy, but he's got DRS again. He's going to be going up for the inside on that Haas and the inside of that Williams. Is there going to be contact? The Sauber goes through. The Williams is trying to hang around the outside. The Haas is trying to keep up the inside. There's a penalty for Gary now for track limits. The Williams is through. They're all fighting for track, to finish on track now. Yeah,
Yeah, it's absolutely chaotic. It's lost for words. These guys are absolutely pushing each other head to toe. They don't care it's a pre-season race. They want to fight, and even they're acting more like it's touring cars than it is F1 cars. We're going to go down towards the final couple of corners now. And now down the DRS straight, the final straight of the race. It's all square on penalties. Can Rupsikola get anywhere near Gary? He cannot. Gary will take victory just over the Williams, ahead of the Haas, ahead of the Red Bull. Gary takes victory in an epic touring car-esque fight in that latter half of the race.
yeah, it definitely did turn into a bit touring cars towards the end there. But fair and square. It was all. There was no penalties deciding the race, which is good. And there's your podium: Sauber, the Williams, and the Haas.
This must be like an inverted podium in real life, because we literally never see them through on a podium. But anyway,
Yeah, very unlikely.
Anyway, here we are. Gary taking victory in the pre-season race at Brazil. Fastest lap to boot as well. Rupsikola in P2 by just over 1/10 of a second. Marchmeister finishes in P3 ahead of Pumped Mantis in P4. All four drivers with 3-second times penalties and less than a second separating them. Sorry, I'm losing my voice in that, 'cause it's illness not happening. Simply Husky finishes in P5 after retiring on the final lap. He was quite far behind, but fair enough to him. David finishes P6. Well, David, Kelly, and Bomb finished P6, 7, and 8. Well, like DNF, so he didn't finish, but that is that race.
Well, that is going to put a target on Gary's back for the rest of the season now. In pre-season testing, getting pole and the win and fastest lap. That has put a target on his back.
Yeah, that absolutely has, because if we just quickly move over, I should have shown this earlier, the driver lineup scene. You can't see it, unfortunately, Stig, unless you're on the stream, but we've got 20 drivers, only full-time drivers, all set for next season, for this season, 14-round calendar. Claessens and Anderson, I should really go by their usernames really, because that's what we're going to mostly say. But Jay and this guy Neo in the Mercedes. The Haas, like we've seen, Marchmeister, he's teamed with Imperium. And then we've got the Sauber of Gary Gator. He is teamed with Park Stereo. Parkstar, I think. A lot of different names we're going to have to get used to. With the Aston Martin has a full British lineup with Kelly and Shoot Fizzy making their team up. Ferrari have a South African and a Brit in the Boss and Rampant Gamer. With Williams having Rupsikola, like we saw today, and Temp, his teammate. DJ TT with us 2024. As well as a Bomb VAR in the RB. I'm never going to say that name right, so I do apologise.
On Via,
maybe, because it's the Y that gets me. The Red Bull team is Pumped Mantis and Alistair, 711, rounding off their team. McLaren have Marcel and Husky, like you saw earlier on, and Alpine will have David and JC for 197 as their team, and that rounds off our 20 driver lineup. We have 3 reserves as well in former champion Marocom. That's the only champion I actually remember because I was doing my research on this. Marocom reserving this season. Modern T is also reserved, as well as Constant Soda 368, who will be making his debut this season. So we got 23 drivers who are confirmed for the season, whether that's full-time or reserve. So we'll see how those drivers get on. Here is our calendar for the season. We'll be here next week in Vegas on the 15th of January. Our second time racing here in the Racing League. Then we'll be moving to the sprint race in Abu Dhabi on the 22nd, Spain, and then Belgium of rounds 3 and 4, with Australia and Austria round 5 and 6, with China round 7, marking the halfway point in the season. Then we'll be going back to Europe, where we'll be seeing the Italian Grand Prix in Imola. Bahrain will be our second sprint race of the season, with Saudi Arabia just after that, Portugal and the Netherlands being our third and final sprint race of the season, before our final 2 races at the Great Britain in Silverstone and the Baku Grand Prix on April 30th to round out our season. Thank you all for watching this pre-season stream. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of chaos, a lot of testing. We're going to hopefully have a full grid for round 1, or mostly full grid at the very least. Thank you, Stig, for coming on and keeping me company and giving your insight as well. It is much appreciated.
My pleasure. And just a note on that, apparently JPS is last season champion. Thank you, Marcis, for letting us know in the YouTube chat.
Oh yeah, thank you, Marcis. JPS last season's champion, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with the drivers around him. But thank you all for watching and tuning in, letting us know a lot about audio and anything of audio and anything. We'll be back next week for round 1, and it's goodbye for us. We'll see you next week. Goodbye now.
Ciao.